Hi there, I'd like to begin my AC presentation on formative assessment, and I'm going to use Dr. Seuss to help me. So Dr. Seuss was very controversial as a writer. He started writing books based on the idea that the Dick and Jane type books just weren't interesting enough for kids. And so he came up with rhyming schemes, and he came up with books that he thought were enjoyable and kids would read more. And so one of the first books that I want to talk about related to how we're going to approach, or how we approach our AC project, is I had trouble with Solo Salu. In this book, a boy leaves his troubles and tries to find a place where there are no troubles. But he finds out there's no such thing, and he goes back and faces his troubles. Well, in the teaching world, one of the most difficult things is assessment, and in my humble opinion, we live such a busy profession that for me it's the assessment that starts to pile up, and especially the formative stuff where we really want to get to know the learner to assess properly. So our AC project, we decided to look at the idea of formative electronic assessment to help us as one tool. So we took some understandings from the landmark study by Black and William, which was in the Phi Delta Kappa, and we decided to hone in on grade 7 to 12 science. So what was formative assessment? Well, again, Dr. Seuss's book, If I Ran the Zoo, in there, a boy, McGrew, went to a normal zoo and he found out that it just wasn't exciting enough, and it wasn't the zoo he wanted, so he decided to start his own zoo. And so we did that with formative e-assessment. We looked at several different textbooks to see what kind of electronic assessment systems they had. We did some research, and we also looked at how AlbertaExamBank.com used their electronic assessment. And like McGrew Zoo, we came up with our own formula. So what did we decide to define e-assessment? We made sure each question, or each set of questions, had a target, the curriculum objective. We made sure that our teachers were providing quality feedback at the bottom of each question, and we made sure students were allowed to take questions more than once for mastery. And so off we went. Like the Dr. Seuss book, I Can Lick 30 Tigers Today, we were ready for our AC project. And we developed and we developed. And in some cases, like this grade 9 science teacher, they developed over 1,000 in some questions. But in our AC project, just like the book, If I Can Lick 30 Tigers, there was some apprehension. You know, some days it wasn't like we wanted to lick 30. We had all sorts of issues. We had Moodle problems, of course, throughout the years. We had parent worries. And so we moved on. And one of the other big issues that our teachers were talking about was the amount of time it took to put in the learning piece, the quality feedback at the bottom of all these questions. And in some cases, that was 1,000 some questions. This took time. So, what kept us going? Students. So like in the Dr. Seuss book, Green Eggs and Ham, try it, Sam I am, was one of the lines in the book, and this was our students. They were the ones giving pressure on us. They appreciated the medium, which was the computer medium, and they appreciated the instant feedback that they were getting. It was very timely. And so here's an example of a survey that we give the kids twice a year, and in every instance on the survey, they either strongly agreed or agreed, and very few kids disagreed, that using Moodle as a tool for self-assessment wasn't helpful. And so, like in the book, The Lorax, think of the trees, the truffula trees, he would say. The kids kept us going because they made us focus in on what was best for them. And so we trudged on, and we continued to push our science teachers to continue to develop these questions. But it wasn't really about the questions. What we were finding was students were starting to develop self-efficacy. The fact that they had low risk, they could try these questions over and over again. And they were coming in to our teachers at lunch and after school for extra help. And if they weren't coming in, the teachers had data like this question, that showed them where kids were having problems and they could take action. They could take action on maybe working at explaining it a different way, or they could approach it from a different angle. We have promising results. So this is a graph to show you how our grade 9 science standard of excellence scores have skyrocketed over the years, especially in the year 2009, 2010, and 2011. Those results are showing our standard of excellence is going up thanks to maybe e-assessment. And again, like the book Hunches of Bunches, where a kid can't make decisions, what's happening is the e-assessment is giving our students an idea where their weaknesses are so they can come in and meet their teachers and have a dialogue. Okay, so it's about the students, it's not about multiple choice questions. And this quote is great. You have brains in your head, you have feet on your toes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose, you're on your own, and you know what you know. You are the guy who will decide where to go in. So we're putting sort of the assessment piece back on the kids. Where do we go next? Well, we're looking at adding this tool to our Moodle self-assessments. It's called certainty-based marking. Now, not necessarily for the score, but it gives us an idea. The kid will answer the question, but they'll tell us before they answer the question to what degree are they confident they got the question right. So here's an example. Here's a question, and the student gives the correct answer, plus they tell us, are they very or fairly or not very confident that the answer is right. So this certainty-based piece that we're hoping to add will hopefully give us even greater insight into how the students think they're learning, approaches to learning. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.